Wanted to ask you about Rafa coming into a new league like this, thrown in. He's played every game. He's second in the league in saves. How would you evaluate his performance in goal, just adjusting to this new league?
He's exceeded all expectations, Rafa, and both on and off the field. I think on the field is what you guys see, which has been spectacular, keeping us in games, saving PKs, playing out of the back the way we want to play. So his adaptation to our team in this league has been tremendous. I would say what he really brings to the team is leadership. And, I think for a young team, having a guy that's won a trophy in Italy, won a trophy in Brazil, has experience, I think that's worth its weight in gold. And so a lot of the stuff that he brings to the team, a lot of people don't see, but it's been really, really impactful.
It's early in the season. You haven't had a lot of, or any, 2 games in a week stretch. Is he a guy, though, that can be in the net every game?
That's a question I've yet to broach. I'm scared to bring it up because he's, typically on game day +1, +2, your goalkeepers don't do a lot of diving around to save their body. But at his age, he wants to be flying on Tuesday across the goal and making saves. And so there's no doubt from a physical perspective, a willingness perspective, that he's capable of doing that. And there's nothing that I've seen that leads me to believe otherwise.
His instincts of knowing when to come out, when to come back, and sometimes do both in one sequence. Does that just come from experience?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, he's seen these plays so many times that he's able to make. It's on autopilot. He's not being deliberate in thinking about what to do. It's just he flows with the ball, the space that's available, and his back line, and he just does a great job of reading it. And I think it's really helped the back line quite a bit, and his communication is really good as well.
How do you guys generate more scoring other than Diego Luna? Nobody else has more than one goal this year.
Yeah, that's the question that we're trying to answer. I think Diogo has had some really good moments, but we got to get him inside the box. We got to get him shooting more. He's got to take more risk in that part of the field. And then again with Ari, he's still learning about when to make the run, how to separate from the defenders. So there's a big learning curve there. And then obviously trying to integrate Willie into the group as soon as possible, and as far as starting the game and playing more than 45 minutes. So hopefully this week we can do that. And I think if we adjust those couple things, I think Luna's been carrying the load, and not only offensively, defensively, he's been our best defender from the front, and I think that's why he is where he is in his career path. He's getting the recognition, he's getting national team call-ups because he's doing all the little things and he's making plays on both sides of the ball. So we need a couple more guys to be able to do that in order to make our attack whole.
What about Johnny Russell? Is he close to seeing some action?
Yeah, so this is his first training back after the first training that he had with us. Right. So again, I think I got to temper my expectations as to what his role will be. But hopefully, if he finishes a week of training, he'll be in the roster for the weekend, and then we'll decide as far as how the rest of the week looks, how he feels, and what the game calls for. But more than likely, he'll get his first appearance this week, hopefully.
Pablo, there have been some multi-goal games here you've given up, and that's certainly not what you want. So when you try to look big picture, are these goals happening because of a series of one-off mistakes? Is there some common thread that runs through them? What do you think?
Well, again, I showed the goals this morning, and like for the first goal, I would say there's 3 different instances that caused the goal, and it's so easy when you have video. But we have clean possession at midfield, no pressure on us, and we jam a ball down the middle. The moment didn't ask for that. There was no one available. We just felt like jamming it. So then the ball gets clipped up in the air. Philip, again, and this is what I encourage the back line. Anytime that you feel like you're uncomfortable in this moment because the ball's bouncing or is put your foot through it, turn them, and we'll press. He decides to run out and chase it, bounces around the turf, and then our recovery positions, our pivot recovery was to the ball instead of to the goal, right, to cut off the angle of Nelson being able to come inside. So Jay did a good job. So every goal has 3 or 4 different plays and actions that could have alleviated it, and it usually starts with the ball. It doesn't usually start with our opponents having the ball. Same thing on a corner kick. We clear the ball. Diego comes to the ball instead of dealing with the guy on the wide area. Then it goes past us, and now we're in damage control mode from a situation that could be easily controlled. So they're all different. They all involve different guys. I think against a team like Vancouver, you're going to concede chances. They're a fantastic team. But I think the goals that we conceded were completely controllable versus some other chances that they did a really good job of breaking our lines.
MLS is such an interesting league. You know, celebrity and star power matters in a lot of leagues, and certainly some teams in MLS have it. But Vancouver's doing what they're doing. Is that a lesson to everybody else? Playing in Canada doesn't seem like an advantage. Playing on turf doesn't seem like an advantage. They're not in a big glamour market. Doesn't seem like an advantage, yet they're in first place in the Champions Cup final.
Yeah, I mean it is. There's a million ways to win in this league. Really, there's not one size fits all type. But what they've done a really good job of, I think what separates their attack from most attacks is I think every player in those attacking positions has the ability to create a goal scoring opportunity for themselves. So one, that usually attracts another defender. Two, the quickness and their speed of play in that final third is dynamic. And the third is they're always testing the back line with runs. So at some point, when you have those three things, something's going to give. You can't do it all. And so, like, for example, like when I keep talking our 10s getting into the box, it's our 10s actually running behind the back line so our pivots can move forward, so we can have more numbers in the box. And like they did on the second goal, they get numbers in good areas, cross it. They do a really good job of separating from their opponents, and this is something that they've done all year. So they've just taken the players that they've had who've had those tendencies and just refined it. And I think the other part too, DJ, is really important, is when you win, things just come a lot easier. The bounces come easier, the goals come easier, the defending comes easier. And when you're not, you just have to work twice as hard to get those opportunities.
Yeah. About Rafa now in the back line, I'm curious because obviously he's Brazilian, so I'm assuming Portuguese. Vera's hurt, but he's speaking Spanish. Glad speaking English. You got a Greek guy whose English is pretty good. You got a guy who's Spanish, and then you got an Ivy League guy in front of him who probably speaks 10 languages I don't know about. But nonetheless, that's a lot of different guys. How good is the communication in back? Not that they can't communicate, they do, but I mean they got to communicate
in real time.
Real time.
No, again, that was another part of our conversation this morning, where you communicate in soccer two ways: nonverbal and verbal. Right? Nonverbal is an active movement to go out and press the ball, or you're saying go, go, go from behind. So you need one of those two things. I think too often we get caught in between because the communication isn't done quick enough. So again, is it nonverbal, not quick enough, reacting in front so that the guys in back can get a cue? Or is it the guys in the back not communicating quick enough to the guys in front of them to go out and press? So we've definitely got to get better at that. That's, my analogy is this: if you do a project with anyone in any business and you tell them you can't communicate, but I need this done in an hour and a half, good luck. It ain't gonna happen. So again, the glue to everything we do, to the tactics, to everything we do, involves communication. And so in order to get better at defending, we got to communicate better. To get better at attacking, we got to communicate better.
Your thoughts on Dallas? Didn't go your way the first time, but it was a tight game throughout.
Yeah, again, we got a red card in 18 minutes in that game, and that obviously changed a lot. I am really proud of the way we've been playing, and I think the San Diego game was a good reflection of that. Although we played well against Toronto, man down, we played well against Nashville and got hard done. And again, going to Vancouver, what excites me is the guys are extremely disappointed that we didn't come away with a minimum of a point. Because it's really easy to say they're the best team, we're playing on turf, we're going away, we should lose this game. And the mindset of the group is like, they're really upset that we didn't come away with something. And so for me, based upon the performances and the mindset after the game in Vancouver, I feel like we're in a good way to approach this game, getting one game better at the way we want to play, but more importantly, competing to get those 3 points.
How much stock do you put in total shots in a game? I mean, the Kansas City won without putting up a single shot. Toronto had 2 and beat you.
Yeah.
And you've had 20 shots and lost before. How key a stat is that?
I guess what that says is that you've won the territory battle. Not so much you didn't get into the castle. You surrounded the castle, but you didn't get into the castle, right? And so like that's what it says, and that's why I think the hardest thing to do in football is to score that goal. And so again, we're box to box. Again, we're playing extremely well. It's that final third that is making it difficult for the other box as well. Because when you're creating opportunities and you don't finish, all of a sudden it could be one mistake and now you're behind the score line. So it's so important to get that attacking box right, to keep playing from a position of a lead, to then can be able to control the flow of the game. And so that'll be the focus for this week and every week moving forward.
When you look at those stats, do you have to immediately sort the games that are tied for a long time, that are level, versus games where one team gets an early goal or two? Because at that point, they might sit back, absorb the pressure.
Yep.
They don't have possession. They give up shots, but they give up low percentage shots.
Yep, you're exactly right. So we call that game state, and stats are only relevant in game states. So you can compare different game states. So you were up a goal in this game and up a goal in this game, but then you ceded a lot of possession. So then we're thinking about how do we manage a lead better, right? And I think when you're down a goal, you're throwing caution to the wind. Teams are going, we want to preserve our goal. So game state definitely matters, and it'd be silly to just look at the stats without breaking them down.